Set Apart Gardens family, what is going on? If y'all coming in, y'all already know what to do. Drop a comment in the chat. Let me know where you're tuning in from. And let me know if you can hear me, all that good stuff. I got that merch on today, man. This one of our shirts. Y'all check out our merch when y'all get a chance. It's our website is linked in our description, so just go check it out, man. We got some good quality merch over there. You know what I mean? So y'all go ahead and tap that like button when y'all come in. We're gonna talk about chickens today. I was thinking about what can we talk about? I be paranoid over here because it be snakes around here sometimes. But if you're coming in, drop a comment in the chat. Let me know where you're tuning in from. But I was just thinking, like, man, what do I want to talk about today? You know what I'm saying? As far as that will benefit you guys. And I had like a good message, but then I was like, man, you know what? I want to teach on this live. I want to teach. So I want to talk about chickens today. And as the title says, chickens are the gateway to self-sufficiency. I made a video a while back talking about this very topic, but I want to go more into depth. And I got one of my favorite books. Shout out to I Am Trinice in yesterday's live in the comment section. What's going on, Ox? Shalom, shalom. Yeah, in the chat yesterday, she was asking, can I do a video on my top 5 books, that I recommend for beginner homesteaders and beginners who want to, become self-sufficient. And so this is one of them. This is one of 5. I'm gonna do a video on all 5, and I'm gonna go in depth. But this is one of them. This right here, if you don't have this book, it's like the chicken Bible. You see what I'm saying? Like, this right here is everything chickens. I've had this book for probably about 4 years now, about 4.5 years. And I'm gonna go over some things in this book with you guys. I definitely recommend that you guys go and purchase this. You can buy it on Amazon. It's called Stories Guide to Raising Chickens. This is a real good book. As you can see, it says 2.2 million copies in print. So 2.2 million copies of this have been sold. So obviously it's a reputable book. But so I'm gonna go over some things because it goes over literally everything in regard to chickens. And I'm a big proponent of, if y'all coming in, drop a comment in the chat. Let me know where you tuning in from. Also, y'all, please hit that like button. Please hit that like button for me. And share this live. Share this live. I think you can share it on here as well. I have that same book, definitely a good book. See? So, all right, now we got people in the chat that's vouching for it. So we're going to talk about chickens today because like I was saying, I made a video a while back. I'm going to probably try to link it after I'm done with this live. You guys can check it out. But basically, I was talking about how chickens are the gateway into self-sufficiency. Chickens are a gateway drug, but also they're just the gateway thing into being truly self-sufficient because, most of us, to be self-sufficient, that means you're growing your own vegetables. That means you're learning how to, harvest water or, collect rainwater, filter water, all that type of stuff, knowing how to build shelter, and knowing how to keep livestock, animal husbandry. So those are really like the 4 pillars of being self-sufficient, in my humble opinion. Just knowing how to take care of your basic needs. So that's food, water, shelter, and food, water, shelter. So in that food is vegetables and fruits as well as animal, byproducts. You know what I mean? Because most people are not vegan. Most people are meat eaters. So you want to be able to keep livestock that will provide you with meat. Please hit that like button, y'all. Please. It really helps the algorithm. So chickens are the gateway into that. Chickens are the gateway into self-sufficiency because they're one of the most easiest livestock to get into. You see what I'm saying? Like, yes, you have smaller, poultry like quail. You have, different things like that. But chickens are more popularized, and more people tend to, get chickens first because there are so many breeds of chickens. There are so many types of chickens you can get for different purposes. It's not the same with quail or with turkey and different other poultries like that, guinea fowl. It's not necessarily the same as with chickens. Chickens, it's a plethora of breeds and different things like that. So I want to talk about that because if you want to start, getting into a lifestyle of being self-sufficient, if you want to start homesteading, I recommend you get chickens first. And once you get those chickens and you learn what it is to take care of a life that's outside of, a human life, like your kids or yourself, but actual animals and feeding them, making sure they're have adequate shelter, making sure that, their health is up to par, collecting those eggs, starting to get products from them, butchering, all that type of stuff. It says, hello from Oregon. I started with self-sufficiency food, gardening, and now breeding chickens and selling eggs. Exactly. Shout out to Pacific Northwest Mama. Yes. So, and that's the thing. So when you get, what's going on, G Mama? What's going on, Castleberry Branch? What's going on, fam? So when you get into chickens, you know, you can start breeding them. Of course, you can, you know, get eggs, you know what I'm saying? Eat those farm fresh eggs. And you can also raise them for meat. So if you want to become self-sufficient, chickens are the way to go. Chickens are the start. And to get into chickens, I recommend everybody buy this book right here. This book right here will teach you everything you need to know, and it is a reference point. It's not like a novel where you just read it from cover to cover. This literally, you know, you go to the table of contents and you kind of see what you're faced with, what you need to learn. So like right here, there's a chapter on hatching eggs. You see what I'm saying? There's a chapter on hatching eggs. So if you want to start finally getting into breeding and hatching out your own eggs, you can pick up this book. Is you talking about baby chicken? I'm talking about all chickens. I'm talking about all chickens. If you just want to get in chickens in general, because you don't have to start with baby chickens. I made a live, earlier this week or last week, one of those. And I was basically talking about how to get started in chickens in an affordable way. And I recommended that people, you know, if you want to get started and you're on a budget, go get pullets, which are juvenile chickens that are not baby chicks, but they're not adults. They're right in the middle. And so you can skip that whole baby chick process. You know, you won't need a brooding, whatever it is, you know, a little box that holds the chickens. You won't need that. You're not gonna need a heat lamp. You're not gonna need all of that type of stuff, because you're getting juvenile chickens, and you can just, you know, put them in a chicken coop already and just feed them and house them and stuff like that. So we're just talking about everything chickens. But I got a few points. I got like probably about 4 different pages in this, 5 pages in this book that I want to hit on, talking about some things with chickens today. I was just about to say, everyone go hit the like button. Yes, appreciate that, Castleberry Branch. Most definitely. Please, y'all hit that like button. It really helps. But so the first thing, we just gonna get into it, y'all. The first thing, and I was just skimming through the book. I was like, what do I want to kind of hit that I feel like people will, you know what I'm saying, benefit from, you know, when it comes to chicken. So this is the beginning of the book. It talks about like choosing breeds and different breeds of chickens and stuff like that. And this is something that I really didn't know, but basically, like, you know, you can identify a strain of chicken or a breed of chicken by their feather patterns. So as you can see, it shows different feather patterns. Who's talking about? Look at this clown. Thank you, G Mama, for blocking them. Thank you, G Mama. So different feather patterns. So like, if you ever if you've ever heard of the breed of chicken called the barred rock, why is it called the barred rock? Because its feather pattern is barred. You see what I'm saying? So this is the barred feather pattern. If you look at a barred rock, that's how the feathers look. Same thing with the lace, golden lace Wyandotte. This is a lace pattern right here of a feather. You see what I'm saying? Like, this is something that I didn't know at all. You know, so basically, like, you can identify different strains or breeds or species of chickens by their feather pattern. And that's how they name them and different things like that, because you'll have, you know, chickens that are in a similar family, but they are called a different thing because, you know, of their feather pattern. So that's something that's pretty cool, you know, about chickens, how you can identify them. Another thing is this. Hold on. So this right here, this chapter is talking about the health of a chicken. So when it comes to chickens, like just with any livestock, right? Health is important. You want to make sure, and this is a part of animal husbandry. Why you got the eyes like that, G Mama? What's going on? You see something I don't see? Or you talking about the feather patterns? And let me know, did y'all know that about the feather patterns? Because I didn't know that. Like, I didn't know that you could tell like the different, you know what I'm saying, breeds or species, or, you know what I'm saying, different types of chickens by their feather patterns. I didn't know that. But when it comes to health, you know, when it comes to livestock, animal husbandry and everything, that's a part of it. Making sure, what's going on, KCalB? What's going on, fam? What's going on? We talking about chickens today. I'm going over one of my favorite books. And there's also a book like this about turkeys as well. I got books on chickens, turkeys, goats, sheep, dogs. You feel me? Didn't know. This is very educational. Okay. Oh, so you did. Okay, cool. Yeah, like, cause I was just, you know, skimming through the book and I saw that it caught my eye and I was like, oh, okay. Oh, laced. Oh, barred. Okay, that makes sense. It makes sense now. But the more you know what I'm saying? So as I learn, I want to teach y'all. But when it comes to animal husbandry, And look up what husbandry means if you don't know what it means. It basically just means to taking care of animals. If you guys are Bible believers like I am, when you see in the book, in the Bible where it talks about the husbandman, you know what I'm saying? Like husbandry is a biblical concept, you know what I'm saying? And it's basically the taking care of animals or shepherding and different things like that. So when it comes to animal husbandry, that's all animals. That's chickens, turkey, that's all livestock, And so a part of animal husbandry and taking care of your animals is the health, making sure that they're healthy. And you got to be able to recognize the signs of good health, bad health. They need deworming. They need something that, to be changed up in their environment. You need to be able to recognize these things, in your animals. And I just made it was a TikTok, and I put it on I put it on all platforms. But I made a short video or a reel talking about how as a keeper of livestock, to be a good husbandman and practice husbandry in a good manner, you need to make sure that you're constantly handling your animals. You need to make sure that your animals know who you are, your livestock, whether it's your chickens, whether it's your sheep, whether it's your goats, whether it's your cows. You don't want to just, you can, but I'm just saying, like, for good practice, you don't want to just let your livestock run wild and, all they just see you one time a day. That's when you feeding them and giving them water. No, you need to be they need to be able to know who you are. They need to know your scent. They need to, what I'm saying? Just be familiar with you, and you need to be familiar with your animals. That's just a part of animal husbandry. Till the land husbandman, exactly. Oh, you didn't know that neither, off-grid trucker? Yeah, man, I just learned too. So, again, like I was saying, a part of the husbandry is ensuring the health of your animal. So this right here, on this page, it talks about, different type of ways to identify a healthy chicken. And so I'm gonna talk about some of them. Communication and interaction, exactly. Like you want your animals to know your voice. You want to be like, for instance, when it comes to like my dogs or even my sheep, whenever I'm feeding them or different things like that, I whistle. You know what I'm saying? So they know it's me. So like, even if I hear my dogs barking at night, I'll just go and they know that's me. Or if I let them out the cage, or if I'm looking for them, I can't find them or whatever, I just and they know that's me. I do the same thing with my sheep. So when I'm going to feed my sheep, things like that, I'll whistle, so they know, like, that's a signature trait of me. So it's just having different things like that. Some people talk to their animals, just do all that. Make sure your animals know your voice, make sure you're handling them, and make sure you're observing them to see, if they are healthy or if they're in need of something, if they're in distress. That's interesting because I didn't know about the feathers. Yeah, so it's like when you get into this book, you're gonna learn a whole lot. And this is just scratching the surface. That was just something cool that I found that I wanted to share with y'all. Is it true that chickens are more intelligent than we think? Oh yeah, especially depending on the breed. Oh yeah, chickens are smart, man. No animal is dumb. No animal is dumb, man, because when you just think about just in general how animals live based off of instinct, you got to be smart to live off instinct and keep yourself safe, keep yourself healthy. Animals know how to do that. So even when it comes to chickens, man, chickens are smart. Chickens are smart, and depend, like I say, it's depending on the breed and all of that type of stuff what you'll get. So like the breed of laying hen that I have right now, it's called an Isa Brown, and they are very docile. But I've raised chickens that weren't so docile, like Rhode Island Reds and different chickens like that, where, because like with the breed that I have right now, I could just walk up to them and reach my hand out, and they'll stop and they'll let me pick them up. But like some chickens will run from you. But it's like, yeah, a lot of them have their own personalities, and they are smarter than we think. Oh, that book's on sale. I just purchased it on Amazon, $9. Exactly. Y'all go to Amazon and purchase it. I ain't got no link in right now, so you could just Google, you go on Amazon and type this in and purchase that book, especially if you want to be successful. Now, if you just want to, fly by the seat of your pants and shoot from the hip, by all means, you can learn as you go, but I recommend proper preparation prevents poor performance. Like anytime I want to get into an animal or, a new venture that I haven't, done, don't got any experience, I always go and read a book. And I buy the book, and I always go and do research, whether it's on YouTube, whether it's on Google. So make sure, you're doing your research before you go out and just buy some chickens. But this tells us the features of a healthy bird right here. So some of them are eyes. So you want to make sure the eyes are bright and shiny. So if the eyes are droopy, you know what I'm saying? If the eyes aren't bright, they red, or, they got pus coming out of them, that lets you know something's wrong with your chicken. The Book of Jubilee talks about how Adam and Eve used to talk to the animals and plants before Yah stopped their ability to communicate, like the Tower of Babel. Exactly. Wise man's old. And I'm gonna tell you something else. If you ever look into George Washington Carver, he was like a master in, you know what I'm saying, cultivating plants and different things like that. Like I know he gets credited for the peanut and peanut butter, like, but he did way more than that. He did so much more than that that people don't even realize. He oftentimes people thought he could communicate with plants, like he talked to the plants. That's how good he was with plants. And I'm gonna tell y'all a fact that y'all probably didn't know. So he was close with Henry Ford, right? Henry Ford, who created the automobile and different things like that, or you know what I'm saying, popularized the automobile. What do you call a place where they manufacture cars? You call it a plant, right? He got that idea from George Washington Carver. You see what I'm saying? Because George Washington Carver was able to, if I'm not mistaken, and somebody could correct me on this, but he was able to harvest a certain plant that was able to make a substitute for rubber, if I'm not mistaken. But y'all can correct me on that if I'm taking that out of context. Yes, sir. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, a lot of people thought because he was so good with plants and cultivating and just so in tune with nature that he could communicate with plants. And a lot of our ancestors were like that. That's why a lot of our ancestors and you know, even current day, you know, people, especially in like islands in the Caribbean and in the South, you know, the southern region of the United States, they know different herbs to use for what. You see what I'm saying? Like, I ain't talking about, you know, spiritual herbalism, but I'm talking about people who know what herbs do, the power of herbs. That's what I'm speaking on as far as for health benefits. But people practice herbs and stuff like that. It's like, you know, certain people are just so in tune with nature that they know what's needed for what, because we come from the dust of the earth. You know, the dust in the ground has all the nutrients and minerals that we need. So it's like when we put our, you know what I'm saying, we put seeds in the ground and grow our food from that, we get the minerals and the things that we need from that food. Doing research is a part of, oh, my bad. Doing research is a part of a good steward too. Exactly. We definitely need to do our own research. For instance, some chickens do better in different climates than others. No, exactly. Exactly. And that's why, because this book, you know, the beginning of it, it goes into choosing a breed. Like I said, you know, you can look at the feather patterns and stuff like that, but choosing a breed that's going to be suitable for you, not only for the purpose you need it to serve, but also for the climate that you live in. You don't just want to go and get a, you know, bird that's, you know, used to like it thrives in the cold weather where it gets real cold, and bring it to somewhere where it rarely gets cold, and vice versa. You don't want to get a chicken that's, you know what I'm saying, more suitable to warmer and hotter climates and put it somewhere in Alaska, you know. So it's like you want to be able to choose the right breed for the purpose you need it for, but also for the location, you know, geographically that you're in. What's going on, Litro guy? Yeah, you say drop these gems, brother. Exactly. Yeah. But that about George Washington Carver, y'all research him, man. I'm telling you, like, it's a lot of things that a lot of great, innovative things that George Washington Carver did that we don't know about. All we hear about is peanut butter, and that's like not even one of the most important ones. Like I said, he was, you know, he was a real good friend of Henry Ford. And he was able to, you know, give him a lot of good advice and counsel and things. And he was just innovative, man. But when it comes to the health of your chickens, right? So like I said, your eyes, that's one of the main things. And this is any animal, any type of livestock. You wanna look and inspect their eyes. If their eyes are droopy, meaning they look lethargic, drained, tired, that is a warning sign. Like I remember when I first started getting into goats, and I had some goats. My male goat, you know what I'm saying, all of a sudden out of nowhere, you know, his eyes, dandelion can be substituted for rubber. It's just not a good option for today's market. Okay, so it was dandelion then. Appreciate that, funny teens. But I had a goat, right? And so one day, you know, I just noticed he was laying around, and then looking to his eyes, they were just droopy and tired. Like you could tell, like the eyes are the gateway to the soul, you know what I'm saying? Just with anything. So you look at somebody's eyes, you can usually tell, especially like if you look in people's eyes, you can kind of tell their intentions as well. So the eyes are very important. Like some people, you can look in their eyes and see they kind of soulless. Like they may be saying all the good things, all the right things, you know, maybe good at speech and can make you laugh and stuff, but you look at their eyes and it just look like something dead in there. Like there's no life behind their eyes. I can't really explain it, but you just have to know to know. But eyes are very important. So when it comes to your chickens, let's get back to the chickens. I go all around the place. But when it comes to your chickens, you want to make sure their eyes are clear and shiny. So if they, you know, if they got pus coming out their eyes ain't clear, you know what I'm saying, their eyes aren't alert, they're more, you know, droopy or whatnot, that means your chicken, there's something wrong with your chicken. So you may need to be dewormed. You may need to put some apple cider vinegar inside their water. You may need to separate that chicken and quarantine that chicken. You see what I'm saying? And give them around a dewormer or give them some sort of medicine or something, some antibiotic. But you're gonna need to act fast. That's the thing. When it comes to the health of any of your livestock, especially your chickens, you want to act fast. And when you recognize something is wrong with your bird, so if you look in the eyes and something don't look right, separate that bird from the rest of the flock, because whatever is going on with that bird, you don't want it to be passed around to all your other chickens, because you could lose your flock like that. The comb. So the comb is basically the thing on the top of the head of the chicken. So you want to look at that. You want to make sure it's firm, it's bright, you know, it's waxy, like it is what it's supposed to be. If it's dull, pale, dry, that lets you know that something is wrong. My Isha, my wife, is close to becoming an herbalist, so learn and know plants that grow around you. Lots of plants have natural benefits. Exactly. And I'm gonna tell you something else. If, you know, stuff was to hit the fan today or tomorrow, right? A lot of people would starve to death not realizing there's food all around them. They just don't know how to forage. You see what I'm saying? Like, a lot of people think, oh, you know, I got to put the seed in the ground and what. No, it's a lot of things. You can go in the woods and you can get, you know what I'm saying? You can forage and you know, be able to eat certain things and different things like that if you know what you're doing. Because back in the days, that's what a lot of our ancestors used to do. They would not only, you know, keep a little bit of animals, you know, and especially back in slave days and Jim Crow and stuff like that, where people were really like, our people were really forced to survive. They would go out and they would forage as well. That's one of the things they would do. They would forage. So in addition to growing things and raising animals, they would forage. You have a lot of medicine in you. Back around that yellow plant is gold. Right? Oh yeah, behind me. Yep, exactly. Make sure you get apple cider vinegar at the mother. Yes. Matter of fact, y'all know it's crazy. I just did a short video, a reel. It's on YouTube. I was making some wine, from muscadine grapes, and I left a little bit, so I drained some of it, well, most of it, and I left a little bit in a fermentation bucket, you know, just to make vinegar. And I came back the other day and the mother was in there. So the vinegar, I just bottled it up and everything. I'm using it for a cleaning solution. So it has the mother in there. And it's pretty cool. Like and there's a lot of health benefits to the mother as well with apple cider. Well, really with any kind of vinegar, but the mother has a lot of health benefits. And if you don't know what the mother is, it's basically like a gelatinous type of like substance that is on top of the vinegar. You know, and it's got a lot of bacteria, healthy bacteria in it. I don't have time to watch your title. It's correct. I would suggest goats too, milk and meat. No, absolutely. Yeah, no, we talk about chickens today, but yeah, most definitely goats as well. Matter of fact, I might talk about goats one day this week as well. We can get into that, talk about sheep and all of that. But chicken. So again, the comb, you want to make sure the comb is healthy by, you know, making sure it's clean, making sure it's waxy, making sure it's bright. The beak, that's another thing. The beak, a lot of times you could tell, you know, if something is wrong with your chicken if you look at the beak and something is wrong. You know, a little piece might be broke off, or you see something forming on the beak, that lets you know it could be an infection. You know, so you want to make sure that just you inspecting your chickens. The tail right here, where you see the tail at, right? You want to make sure that it's straight and aligned with the body. So if it's droopy, again, that means something is most likely wrong. So you want to make sure the tail is good. The vent, which is basically where they poop. You want to make sure the vent is clean. So if you have, matter of fact, with baby chicks specifically, I want to say it's called pasty butt. Let me know if that's the correct term. But like if you have a baby chick and you have like a pasty boo-boo, for lack of better terms, around the vent, that means that something is wrong and that baby chick needs help. So you need to intervene. That pasty butt, it can kill that baby chick. So you want to make sure the vent is clean. And this is from baby chicks all the way up to grown chicks. So if the vent or the area where the chicken poops out, if it's got poop around it, or if it's not clean, or like I say with a baby chick, if it's that pasty, if it's that pasty stuff, first off you need to clean it, but you also need to kind of keep an eye out on that chicken because something is wrong. My pups had pink eye, and I gave them apple cider vinegar with the mother, and the next day they was up and running. Yeah, no, apple cider vinegar works wonders, not just for dogs and animals and livestock, but also for us. You know, if you're having like health issues or whatever, or let's just say like gut issues too, apple cider vinegar is great. Just adding some to your water. Kombucha. And also, I'm gonna tell you a cheat code that I learned because I have acid reflux, and you know I've in irritable bowel syndrome. So a lot of times, you know, my stomach will be messed up. But I'm gonna tell you a cheat code I learned: sauerkraut. Take like a teaspoon of sauerkraut every day. It really helps. Sauerkraut helps your gut. But anything that has friendly good bacteria, like you said, apple cider vinegar with the mother, kombucha, prebiotics, probiotics, and also any kind of fermented food too. So kimchi, sauerkraut, those things are good. My children say, Dad, what do you use baking soda and vinegar for everything? I tell them because it's natural and has many uses. Yeah, baking soda and vinegar, great cleaning solution. The pine is lobbly and its sap is more flammable than most other pines. Can be used to start fires that are water and wind resistant. Yeah, yeah, pine sap, absolutely. Pine sap. That's also how they make turpentine as well. Turpentine is made from pine sap, if I'm not mistaken. But anywho, back to the chickens. Feathers should be clean, smooth, and shiny. So if it's the opposite of that, you know that's a problem. Toes, make sure that the toes are straight without overly grown long toenails, and the soles are intact. I want to say it's called bumblefoot or something like that, where like, you know, if chickens like if they are like in mud or in, you know, too much moisture, their feet are in too much moisture, they can get an infection. It's like a boil that's on they foot. You know what I'm saying? That can happen. So you want to make sure your chicken coop, your chicken run, it is, you know, dry, pretty much like, you know, and it talks about in this book too, like different types of flooring you can use in your chicken coop. So you could do what I do, which is a deep bedding method, which is I put straw or hay down or wood chips or pine shavings, different things like that, organic matter. So like I might cut my grass and take some of that leftover grass and you know, just put it in my chicken coop and they'll till it and different things like that. But you can also have a wooden floor. You can have concrete, but just have a place to where the chickens can be, you know, dry. And if it rains, it don't flood and they just standing in mud all day. But making sure that they have a place to where they can, and if it does get wet or muddy, then they have a place where they can perch up so their feet not just in that mud all day, you know, causing infection and different things like that. So you want to make sure that they have that. So pay attention to their feet. The mother, SCOBY, stands for symbiotic culture of bacteria and yeast. Yes, and the mother is very healthy. You can use pine needles and leaves in your coop. Yeah, exactly, the off-grid truck. You can use any organic matter in your chicken coop because any organic matter is going to break down. It's going to compost over time, any organic matter. So you can use pretty much anything, you know, branches, whatever, just, you know, throw it in there. And that organic matter is going to break down and different things like that. But yeah, pine needles is good as well, and leaves, all that type of stuff. What else we got over here? The breastbone or the breast, making sure that the breast is, you know, full and plump. The nostrils, you know, chickens have nostrils. So making sure their nostrils, I don't know if y'all can see their nostrils right there, making sure their nostrils are clean, and different things like that. No discharge, you know, they ain't nothing coming out. Excuse me. It ain't nothing coming out. Yeah, pasty butt equal potentially fatal blockage caused by dry poop stuck to a baby chick's vent. Exactly. So it is pasty butt. Yeah, man. And see, this is stuff that you learn. Like, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of videos that you can learn from that will teach you these things, but you'll learn in depth by reading. Like, they say if you want to hide something from somebody, and I'm pretty sure black people know the saying, but if you want to hide something from a particular person, they say put it in a book. That's why it's important that we read books and that we have books on hand, because the book will go more into depth than a video will. Even though I'm going into depth now, and y'all can see we 28 minutes in, and I only covered 2 things in regard to this book. So that lets you know how much stuff is in this book. When I, you know, before I started breeding dogs, about a book about breeding dogs, and that book literally teaches you, you know, the different you know what I'm saying, the different terminology you need to know, how to recognize when your dog is in heat, pre-estrus and pro-estrus, all that type of stuff. The discharge, you learn it. Then you learn how to whelp the puppies, meaning, you know, when the mother gives birth, she's probably going to need some assistance. So you're assisting her in the birth of those puppies and raising those puppies. She might not know, you know, how to make them latch. So you probably going to need to be there. Most of the time, they motherly instincts will kick in, but, you know, you're going to need to be there to help them whelp those puppies. But you'll only learn stuff like that in depth in a book. fermented food is delicious. No, exactly, G Mama. Fermented food is delicious and it really helps your gut out. Like if you a person, and not to get kind of too into this, but if you a person that suffers from like diarrhea or just stomach problems and stuff like constipation or whatever, try eating you some fermented foods. Try eating something like a kimchi or something like sauerkraut, or taking some kombucha, little stuff like that. Apple cider vinegar is good as well. But you can also give apple cider vinegar to your chickens and put it in their water, and it'll help. Man, I'm telling you, it'll boost their health. And really all your animals, but specifically your chickens. This is what the title of the book. It's called Stories Guide to Raising Chickens. It's on Amazon. It should be like the most popular book on chickens. Let me see. Is there anything else to look out for when it comes to the health of a chicken? Yeah, I mean that's pretty much. Oh yeah, and making sure the head is held high and alert. An alert chicken is a healthy chicken. An alert animal is a healthy animal. A lethargic animal is a sick animal. A lazy animal is a sick animal, meaning like he or she just laying around, that bird or that sheep or that goat just laying around, something is wrong. It may be parasites. They may have an injury. They may be about to give birth. You see what I'm saying? So you kind of need to keep an eye out on that. And the only way to kind of know these things is to first be familiar, but also read. Where we at next? Let's see. Sheltering methods. So this talks about sheltering methods right here. Just different ways you can shelter your chickens. And it gives you different options, because you have, like, lately a lot of people, and really like the past few years, like a lot of people are big on this free range thing. You know what I'm saying? Like me personally, I don't let my chickens free range because it's too many predators, especially around where I live at. And my dogs being one of those predators, if they mess around, get out their area where they contain that, my dogs, and they get to the chickens, and my chickens, they gonna kill them, because my dogs have a high prey drive. That's just what it is. But it might work for you, allowing your chickens to free range. You might have a breed of dog, or you might not have the predators that really want to go after your chickens. But this is the thing, like, you got different predators like hawks, you got possums, raccoons, you got all type of predators, so you got to be on the lookout. So if you letting your chickens free range, you might have a hawk that's flying in the sky that may be looking down on your chickens and want to attack. So those are just some of the predators. But free ranging is an option. No confinement as a sheltering method. So they basically free range and they find they shelter in the woods or in the bushes or whatever. That's one way. Confinement to a portable shelter with a fenced foraging area. So basically a fenced in area, with a chicken coop, a mobile chicken coop, with a fenced in area where they can still kind of run around, but they have a chicken coop they can go back to, and you can move that chicken coop to other areas, like a portable chicken coop, portable chicken run. They have those for sheep and goats as well. Yeah, most definitely, G Mama. Yeah, thank y'all for hitting that like button. I bought 4 chickens about a year ago, 2 silkies, 2 black copper marines, and that has grown exponentially. Chicken math is real. Exactly, funny teens. Chicken math is very real. I made a video about chickens probably about 2-3 weeks ago. And I was kind of talking about chicken math, how chickens are addictive. Chickens are the gateway, but they're also addictive. So it's like when you get 5 of them, you probably gonna want 5 more, because you gonna feel like, oh man, I heard about this breed, or I know they lay regular eggs. I want something that's gonna lay a chocolate egg like a copper marine, or I want something that's gonna lay like something like an Easter egg type of thing. So chicken math is real, and chickens get expensive. You probably gonna want to upgrade your feed, give them little snacks, put stuff in their coop, you know what I'm saying, to make their life a little bit funner and easier or whatever. But chicken math is real. What else? Confinement to a permanent building with an outdoor fenced yard. So that's a permanent stationary chicken coop. That's how my chicken coop is. I have mobile chicken coops that I can move, but I also have a permanent chicken coop, where my chickens are confined to. But within that, they have spaces where they can run around and walk around and different things like that. And like I say, I use a deep bedding method in there because, of course, they're going to scratch and till that ground and different things. So I want to make sure I keep feeding organic matter, so their bedding, that ground can be, not just the dirt. We have a very active hawk population on our homestead, so free range is probably not an option for us either. Yeah, exactly. If you have a hawk problem, free range, and I don't recommend it. I mean, unless you got, a few roosters that's gonna protect them hens, But then again, do you want your rooster dying on account of a hawk just trying to protect your flock? Or would you rather just have your chickens in a safe area, a safe space? It just depends. But if they're in a wooded area, I think they'll typically be fine, you know, because the hawk probably won't be able to see them as easy. But if they're in an open field, free ranging, I just wouldn't do it. I just wouldn't do it. I wouldn't free range because wild birds can possibly pass bird flu to your chicken. Oh, that's a good point. That's a good point. Yep. Bird diseases are real. They can pass bird flu and different things like that. And disease, wild birds can, feral birds, because you know, wild animals in general, like they're not getting dewormed. They're not, you know, getting vaccinations or different, you know, health remedies and stuff like that, like you would give to your livestock within livestock management. Like with your sheep, for example, you know what I'm saying? Like wild sheep out in the wild, I ain't saying we got none here, but wild sheep in the wild, they don't get deworming and they don't get, you know what I'm saying, different things to prevent health, you know, diseases and stuff like that. So if you were to try to kind of mix and mingle, if you were in an area that had like wild sheep and stuff like that, then they would probably make your animal sick. But it's the same thing with birds. Wild birds can make your other chicken sick. So that's not a good idea because they're poop. They spread it through their poop. Okay, yeah, that was the last comment. But yeah, so sheltering methods, a permanent building, and with the fenced-in area, that's like I say, that's what I do. And I'm about to put a fence around my chicken coop area because I got 2 more coops in there because I'm growing my flock. And so once that's fenced in, I'm gonna allow my chickens to be able to run around that area, you know, that's fenced in. I'm gonna connect it to my garden so they'll be able to be in my garden and stuff like that. But that's how I do it. I have a permanent shelter, but you could do portable or whatever. It doesn't really matter as long as your chickens are safe. Cage confinement. So hutches. People do that in urban and suburban areas. So if somebody's keeping backyard chickens, and that's another thing. So if you just, let's say you got a normal sized backyard, you live in the suburbs, you're able to keep, you know, a few chickens or whatever. Hutches may not be a bad idea, you know what I'm saying, because you can maximize your space. You won't have to build a permanent coop or, you know, a big chicken coop. You could do hutches. You know, people raise rabbits in hutches. People do quail in hutches, you know what I'm saying, and just pretty much poultry in general. People raise them in hutches. That's an option. I personally wouldn't do that. I use hutches for pullets. Yeah, I use hutches. And I did a video again. Y'all go, man, show love to my videos. But I did a video where I built the hutch for basically, so when your chickens are in the brooder, your baby chickens are in the brooder, you know, once they start flying and flapping their wings and jumping out the brooder or jumping up and stuff like that, you want to be able to transfer them to a hutch. You want to get them out that brooder. They have graduated from the brooder. You know what I'm saying? They flying now. They doing all this. You know what I'm saying? Especially you ain't got no top on there. They're going to be flying out, you know, running around and stuff like that. That means that they need to go to, do you wipe it or do you let it crust? What are you talking about? You talking about pasty butt? What you talking about? But yeah, so hutches, hutches is in my, you know, from what I do, hutches is for my birds that have graduated from the brooder. You know, they're not baby chicks no more. So that's what I use hutches for. Same thing with turkeys, you know what I'm saying? Once your turkeys are past that baby stage, that I think they call them poults. Once they're past that stage, you can put them in hutches before you put them in you know, in a chicken coop or in a permanent enclosure. You could put them on hutches to kind of grow them up a little bit more, because this is the thing, like, just because they've graduated from the brooder don't mean they need to go to the pasture, or don't mean they need to go to the chicken coop just yet, because they still may need to get a little bigger. They still may need to learn how to regulate their internal temperature a little bit more, because if you put them out there, they could, you know what I'm saying, overheat or, you know, freeze or whatever the case may be, because their wings haven't fully came in yet. Let me know if I'm making sense. Where I live in Mississippi, I had to almost build a fort around my chicken to keep the fox and coons out. Foxes are sneaky, man. Foxes, yeah. I don't have a fox problem here, thank God, or a coon problem. But possums, yes. Well, I ain't gonna say that. I just ain't seen no coons, but I'm pretty sure it's coons around here. But what we have here mostly where I'm at is stray dogs. We got hawks. We got possums, you know, and stuff like that. But stray dogs is a big one here where I'm at. Emilio Woods, what's going on? Is that oh, what's going on? That's my brother. Hey, real quick, y'all. Emilio Woods, man, this was my first battle buddy when I got into the Army. We went to boot camp together. We went to AIT together. We was bunk mates the whole time. And guess what? We was born a day apart. We was born a day apart. That's my brother right there, man. We was bunk mates from boot camp all the way through AIT. What's going on, Woods? Appreciate you, man, for joining my live, brother. Appreciate you. And we still talk to this day. We still talk to this day. But anywho, yeah, so just because your chick or your chickens have graduated from the brooder don't mean you need to automatically just shove them outside. Hutches are great. So if you want to raise them in hutches, like I say, to maximize on space, you can definitely do that. Maximizing on space, hutches is definitely the way to go. Let me see, is there any other? Yeah, so those are the main sheltering methods. And trees. So, you know, trees, it said, this talks about tree caveats. You know what I'm saying? And basically, if you want to like free range and let your chickens just go out and be wild, the trees, it says trees provide a place for a hawk to land while selecting his next meal. A tree, hold on. Oh, these are disadvantages. I'm sorry. Yeah, trees in the yard help keep chickens healthier and happier, but also offer a few distinct disadvantages. Oh, so trees are a disadvantage. So trees is where hawks can basically plot on your chickens. So yeah, so I wouldn't do that. And it says chickens like to roost on trees at night, leaving them open to predation by owls and other nighttime stalkers. That's another thing. If you got a problem with owls, owls are a predator to chickens. It ain't just hawks, it's owls too. So there's a lot of different predatory birds for chickens. So you want to be able to make sure like your chicken coop is like Fort Knox. You know what I'm saying? Can't nothing get to them and they can't get out. You feel what I'm saying? Hi, Mama. I've been catching some of your videos sometimes. Oh, okay. You've been watching G Mama for sure. Yeah, y'all go follow G Mama Grows, man. Y'all go follow G Mama Grows. All right, let's see what we got next. Let's see what we got next. The digestive system. This lays out the digestive system, the outline for everything that goes on the insides of a chicken. And I'm very familiar with this because I have butchered hundreds of chickens, so I know everything about the insides of a chicken. But you're going to need to know it, even if you're not butchering, because you need to know the internal workings of your animals. You see what I'm saying? Because you'll also be able to, you know, be able to provide different, you know, ways to keep them healthy and things like that. But you need to know this, the digestive system. So chickens, of course, they have an esophagus that goes to a crop. So chickens don't have a stomach necessarily. Yes, they have, well, they have a stomach. They don't have teeth. That's what I meant to say. Chickens don't have teeth. So, you know, everything else can chew their food and different. What's going on, Sony? Everything else, as far as animals, they can chew their food. They got teeth or whatever. Birds don't have teeth. Chickens don't have teeth. They have a beak. They have a tongue within that beak. But how they grind up their food, so when they've been foraging and eating and stuff like that, and they swallow food, they have what you call a craw. And that craw sits like right in this area of the chicken, like right up by the breast. And that craw is a little circular thing, and it's like a pouch. And so when you first get baby chicks, when you first get baby chickens and you're raising chickens, you want to feed them a little bit of sediment. You know what I'm saying? Like different rocks and stuff, because those rocks go into their craw, and that's how they, you know, crunch their food and break down their food. So that's why, I don't know if, you know, if y'all are into chickens, if y'all knew that, to feed your chickens like crushed oyster shell. Of course, that helps with the egg production, but also different types of sediment that goes into their crop, and it accesses their teeth. That sediment does. It breaks down that food. Let me know if y'all knew that. I lost the stream and I was able to rejoin. I'm glad I can come back and rewatch. You always share a lot of good stuff. Appreciate that, Castleberry Branch. I got my hotspot with me today, so my connection should be good. I shouldn't go out like I did the other day. Yep, once they get sick, you need to know the works of their body. Exactly. Just like you need to know the works of your body as a human being. You need to know, you know what I'm saying, how your organs and stuff, how that works. I would need to work up my nerves to dispatch an animal. Does your wife do any? Yeah, my wife my wife, yeah, she know how to butcher chickens. She been doing it for probably just as long as me. It took her a little while though, but she don't necessarily do the bigger game like I do, like the goats and stuff, but she does chickens. She does chickens. She know how to, matter of fact, I have videos of us, you know, butchering 75 chickens, 50 chickens, like a whole chicken butcher day. And me and her worked as a team. You know, I might be, you know, dispatching them, and she might put them in the yard bird plucker. You know what I'm saying? Pluck the feathers, and then evisceration. Because when you're doing evisceration, meaning taking that out of the insides, you get to see all this stuff in real time. You get to see the crop. You get to see the liver. You get to see the stomach. You get to see all of these different things that go inside of the gizzard. You know what I'm saying? The gizzard as well is what helps the chicken break down food as well, the gizzard. Yeah, I'm sorry. So the food goes into the crop and then it goes into the gizzard. The gizzard is where the sediment is at. And if you've ever butchered a chicken and you cut open the gizzard, you see like little rocks and stuff fall out. You know what I'm saying? That's that sediment that you gave them, those little rocks and stuff. That's what you gave. That's what they had. But Emilio said he didn't know that. Yeah. But so you got the crop, then you got what they call the true stomach. So this is right between the crop and the gizzard, right? And like I say, the gizzard is, you know what I'm saying, it's what breaks up that food. I got mistaken. It's not the crop. The food does go to the crop, but then it passes from the crop to the stomach to the gizzard. And the gizzard breaks it down. And then after the gizzard, you got the small intestine, large intestine, and then you have the vent or the cloaca. That's the vent. Like I was just talking about with that pasty butt. You know how you need to pay attention to the vent. You know that's where they that's where they poop out of. How much can one chicken last for a fam of 4? I've seen your video cutting up, but I don't remember if you said how long that lasts you. Oh, you saying like to eat one whole chicken? Family of 4, I would say probably like 2 meals. Yeah, probably like 2 meals, because you got 2 breasts, you got 2 wings, you got 2 legs. Then you can of course use the chicken neck if you want to. It just depends on how you preparing it. It can really stretch a lot further than 2 meals, but it just depends on how you prepare it. You know what I'm saying? But think of it like a rotisserie chicken. How long would a rotisserie chicken last you and your family? You see what I'm saying? Because that's just a chicken cooked whole. So how long would that last you and your family? It could be 2 days, it could be 3 days, depending on what you're doing with it, but depending on what you're making. You know what I'm saying? You might take the breast, or you might make a little stew or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Some fajitas or whatever. You know what I'm saying? You might take the legs and whatever. But it just depends. But I would say about 2 meals. Jersey Giant will last. Oh, that's a breed of chicken? Pacific Northwest Mama? Is that a breed of chicken? But the vent, I'm gonna tell you something else about the vent or the cloaca. And this is something interesting that I learned probably like a year or 2 ago. Chickens reproduce. So, okay, let's get into a little bit of terminology. You have hens, roosters. All of them are chickens. Both are chickens. Roosters are male chickens. Hens are female chickens, right? All right. So roosters, they don't have a private part. Roosters don't have a private part. Hens, they lay eggs. They don't necessarily have a private part neither, but they have the vent, or what you call a cloaca, right? Roosters have a cloaca as well. It's just kind of different from a hen's cloaca. But roosters still produce sperm, right? They just don't have a private part, but they produce sperm. But how they reproduce, because hens are going to lay eggs regardless. Once they reach maturity, they're going to lay eggs regardless of whether they fertilize or not. They just born with eggs, and they're going to pass those eggs through. That's just how it works. Just like a human female is born with eggs in her body, it's the same thing with the hen. They have eggs. So the eggs are going to come regardless. Now, what determines if you're going to get baby chicks is if that rooster and that hen get together and their cloacas touch, pretty much. You know what I'm saying? The rooster will jump on the back of the hen, and you know what I'm saying? They cloacas will touch, and then he'll insert sperm into her through their cloacas, through the vents. And that's how the eggs become fertilized. If I'm not mistaken, it might be a little bit more to it than that, but you know what I'm saying, just based off my research, that's how I that's what I learned pretty much. But yeah, the roosters, and if you ever seen it in real life, it's very aggressive. Like the roosters, they do not play with them hens. They jump on their back, like they be harassing them. They jump. You almost feel sorry for the poor little hens, cause the rooster, he done strong armed her. You feel me? Like but that's just nature at work. Same thing. Turkeys do the same thing. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's how. So the cloaca is. Sony say, wow. Yeah, so if you didn't know, now you know. That's how it is. You know what I'm saying? It's a little rough, but you know what I'm saying? But the hen will hold on to that sperm for quite some time. And so the eggs that they lay after that, all those eggs will be fertilized. So you can go and collect those eggs and put them in your incubator, or you could just let the hen sit on those eggs and she can hatch them out herself, because that's how nature works. You know, especially in the wild, you know, with chickens, wild chickens or whatever, those hens sit on their eggs. You know, that's why a lot of times hens will get mean when you try to go in those nesting boxes and take those eggs, because she's sitting on them. She's keeping them warm. She's rotating them and turning them. She's doing everything that an incubator would do. I'm going to keep my mouth shut, LOL. Yep, the will hold it down. Yep, they will hold them down. Yeah. They'll pin them down. So that's the insides of a chicken and how the body works as far as a chicken. I think we got one more topic. Common stressors. All right, this is the last thing we're gonna cover. Common stressors. So this is important because again, when it comes to animal husbandry and keeping of animals, you want to make sure your animals are healthy, optimal health, safe, protected, provided for, all that good stuff. And stressors are they're basically, a negative thing that can impact your chickens, impact the health of your flock. If your chickens are too stressed out, they're not gonna really be laying like that. They're not gonna be eating like that. So you want to kind of look out for common stressors. All right. Too much time between hatching and first food or water. So that causes stress on the baby chick. So once they hatch, if you allow too much time to pass before you feed them and get them water, that's why, like, soon as they hatch, and they get dry and stuff like that, like if you hatch them out in the incubator, once they get dry, you want to be able to, put them inside the brooder, and you want to tap their beak on the water and tap their beak on the food so they know where the food and the water is, and they'll be able to eat and different things like that. Because again, it ain't like other animals where they nurse on their mama. No, they come out pecking. You know what I'm saying? So if you allow too much time from when they hatch to when you give them food and water, that's a stressor. Rough handling them. Oh, them bugs coming out now. Handling them rough, just any kind of way, just snatching them up, all that. You don't want to do that. That causes stress. Stress is not good for an animal because an animal won't be able to do what it's purposed to do. A chicken won't be able to do what it's purposed to do if you stressing it out too much. Your hen ain't gonna really be laying like that if she's stressed out. So you want to make sure you're not handling them rough. Eating spoiled feed. Make sure that the feed is up to date, good quality, it's not spoiled. Extremely high egg production. I didn't know that was a stressor. But if they producing too much eggs, a high egg production, that could be a stressor. I didn't know that. Moderate, and those are minor stressors. So you have minor, moderate, serious, and severe stressors. I gotta get to sleep, big dog. Been driving all night from Texas to Colorado. Love you, brother. Yes, most definitely, man. Love you too, brother, man. You be safe, man. Hit me up too, bro. I've got to run. I'm going to email you today or tomorrow. Take care, fam. Okay, Castleberry Branch, you have a good one. I'm about to, once I finish this, I'm going to jump off too. But yeah, y'all have a good one. Thank y'all for tuning into the live. So moderate stressors. Chilling or overheating during the first weeks of life. So again, okay, yeah, I gotta get to going in a minute. So chilling or overheating. So too cold, too hot. You know what I'm saying? You want to have your heat lamp. You want to have it set up in one corner of the brooder. You don't want it to be right on them and they in a confined space because they can overheat. But you want to make sure you have heat in there. They can run under it and then they can run from it. Sudden exposure to cold. So just, rapidly changing their temperature and exposing them to cold. Medication. Depends on the drugs used. So like if you medicating them, if you give them too much, that could be a stressor. Some serious stressors. Overcrowding. So if they don't have enough space in their coop to really, swatting these bugs, they don't have enough space to move around how they want to, then that's going to be a problem. Overcrowding. Nutritional imbalance. If they're not getting the nutrients that they need. Right? The feed that you're giving them is not giving them the adequate enough protein or whatever. Insufficient drinking water. So if they're not getting enough water or sufficient drinking water. Combining chickens of various ages. So you put in, baby, little pullets in with the already existing flock. That's a stressor because they have what you call a pecking order. Man, move, bug. They have what you call a pecking order and different things. You say what? You got a friend on the wall behind you. What, a lizard? Man, don't. Oh, a spider. Oh, you talking about the spider right there? Thought you were talking about a snake. So some severe stressors. Lengthy periods without food or water. So if you're not feeding them every day, that's a severe stressor. Inadequate number of feeders, so not everybody is getting fed. Poorly placed feeders causing starvation and the onset of any disease. Those are all stressors, severe stressors though. But all of these are common stressors. So you want to make sure that, yeah, you're talking about that spider. Okay, I thought you were talking about a snake now. I was finna jump up. I was about to jump up. But those are the stressors, and you want to make sure you avoid those stressors, when it comes to your chickens. You want to make sure your chickens are in optimal health, Clean your chicken coops out. Make sure they got access to fresh water at all times. Make sure you're not overfeeding them or underfeeding them. You know, just different things like that, man. So those are the things, some of the things I want to talk about. I definitely recommend y'all go get this book. It's going to teach you everything you need to know about chickens. And some of the stuff you're going to learn by experience, just, you know, keeping chickens. But yeah, this is the book I recommend. I'm about to pick up this load, bro. I'm going to check the replay after. Hey, I'm about to go too, Aki. I'm about to go too. What is the book? This is it, Raising Chickens. Story Guide to Raising Chickens. It's on Amazon. It's on Amazon. It's a cheap book. I think they said it's like $9. It's on sale right now. But yeah, if you just go on Amazon, check this out, search it up, it'll come up. But I got to go because my wife, she got to jump on the meeting. Okay, cool. Yeah, my wife got to jump on the meeting. So those are some of the things about chickens. If y'all want to keep talking about chickens, let me know. If you want me to go into more things about chickens, or if you want to jump to another animal, turkey, goat, sheep, whatever, we could talk about it. But just let me know down in the comment section if you're watching this on replay or in the chat. But please hit that like button again. And I'm going to get to it. I'm going to get back to it, y'all. I'm going to let y'all get back to it as well. I got to go watch these kids. But like I always say, man, he who has the power to feed you also has the power to starve you. See